Hi guys, I'm Callum,
And I'm Matt.
and welcome back to the Try Time Podcast YouTube channel. And today we're going to be ranking every Super League club in a tier list.
So
Go
the
on, I'll let
tiers
you
are
go
going
over
to be
the stipulations.
well, as I was going to do before you ever so kindly interrupted. We are going to be judging each of the clubs on three main criteria. Mostly performance. This is going to be a mixture of both current performance and their historical achievements. Facilities. Again, this is probably going to come into largely academies, quality of stadium, etc. And also the fan base, because nobody loves anything than like a great club with absolutely shit fans.
Definitely.
Hopefully that won't apply to any of them, but we'll wait and see what each of our probably polarising opinions are.
Yeah, so the 5 tiers we've got elite club, decent club, inconsistent club, meh club, and tin pot club. So you'll get a grasp of what we're sort of thinking for each one when we talk about go for each team. So as you can see, first up is Warrington. So what are your thoughts on Warrington going into it, like early doors, just first opinions?
They're a solid club. They're undoubtedly part of the better end of Super League.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a pretty nice
amazing
ground
for them, but I think fans definitely boost them. I think they got one of the best fan base in the league, and obviously stadium and facilities and youth and everything. That's all good. That all ticks the boxes of elite club for me.
You say youth. There's quite a lot of big money imports over the last few years. Warrington, their academy's certainly not up there with Wigan, Saints, Leeds, Castleford.
Yeah, I'd agree on that. Potentially, I'd say I'm ranking the fan base elite. I know we're not ranking them all separate. We need to come to one, but
I agree. Fan base elite.
Probably youth and state. We'll say that's decent. But what are you thinking on his performance based? I think it's got to be decent for me. It could be elite if they'd won the Super League. I think that really is a hold back for them.
Even though they've won
countless Challenge Cups.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. I just don't think the Challenge Cup anymore is that big of a deal enough to give it the elite status. I'd say that's decent because it just lacks the history to support it. And I think, personally, for me, 2 decents and elite is not enough to push it over the barrier.
Are we saying decent for Warrington then?
I'd say decent for Warrington.
Yeah, I'll drag it in now. Yeah.
And before you get very angry with us, there will be a few clubs here that get a lot worse than decent, so don't feel hard done by.
Next up, Castleford.
Again, I'd say another club that very much up there now. You look 10 years ago and they were absolute mid-table fodder. They were nowhere. The highlight of the early part of their decade was losing a Challenge Cup semi-final to Leeds and having a bloke win Man of Steel that ultimately did nothing else for the club.
Yeah.
They haven't got history on the side, but, you know, they're certainly not a bad club. I'd say decent tier for me.
Yeah, I mean, you got the youth's good. I think we spoke on that, really good youth. And I think the future's bright for Castleford.
I'm going to give them a bit more on facilities because they have obviously got this stadium that's supposedly been built for about... I mean, yeah, what's going to happen first? Coronavirus vaccine or Castleford Stadium? That could be closer than we think.
Yeah, I think you can't push it to elite because there's things holding it back, such as history, maybe even ground. But I think really good fan base though, like decent.
Some of them are a bit questionable considering what they're like coming to Edinburgh, but on the whole, yeah, you do. They're certainly a passionate group, and I'm not gonna knock any points off for that.
Right, they're in decent. So next up is I'm interested to see what you think about this Catalan.
Do you know, I don't actually know how to rank Catalan because I don't really know what the fan base is like.
They're pulling numbers. I know they're pulling a decent amount, and I know the youth. I don't know what you'd class as the youth because I feel like they're bringing through a lot of good young French lads, and I think the stadium's nice and it's a good weekend away. I think that add a lot to Super League.
The ground's nice. What's their average home attendance usually? Is it about 11,000?
I would say
around the 10 mark.
around the 10. It's sometimes probably below, sometimes above. Obviously, teams do
That's.
take quite a bit of a way following there, but I think that's still solid and better
I'd
than
say there's
a few
probably
of
a
these
good
teams.
8. Do you think it's fair to say there's a good 8 or 9,000 Catalan fans there most games?
Probably, yeah. I would say it's safe to say so.
So that's
But,
about mid-table.
the only thing is, it's like
They are
performance-wise,
they're very much an inconsistent club if we were judging this just on performance.
I feel I like Catalan and they bring a lot and everything, but I don't feel like I'd feel right ranking them alongside Warrington and Castleford personally. I think it is an inconsistent club, but a higher inconsistent, such as Warrington and Castleford are high decents for me.
I'm gonna think if again I know we're not doing this separately, but just to break it down, facilities, academy, etc. I'd probably say they're on elite.
Elite, all right, yeah, that's fair. I'd say
Performance-wise, I think meh, to be honest.
At times, though, like they're inconsistent performance-wise, arguably. Sometimes they look like best team in the league, sometimes look like worse.
Yeah, but I mean, the saving grace was always they played well at home, and when they've done poorly, they've not even played well at home. So
That's why I would
they
say
certainly don't have the history just because they're a relatively new club. And yeah, I think inconsistent's the right tier for them.
Pop them in there. Next up, Huddersfield.
I'm going to let you go first on this one.
So Huddersfield, I think if we're going through the three things, I think performance-wise, inconsistent. You know, they have times in a season where they're up near top, times where they're low near bottom. They're winning, they're losing, they're going streaks. The history isn't amazing for them. They've got a decent, obviously, history of the club, and it's a really good sort of traditional rugby league club, I'd say, and they've got good players, but fan base. The thing is, I'm not knocking Huddersfield's fan base because the people who go there might not be a lot of them, but the people who go to the game shouldn't get knocked. So if you're an Huddersfield fan, you're not a bad fan because you're an Huddersfield fan. It's just that Huddersfield deserves more fans, and as a whole, the fan base isn't massive, even isn't big. It doesn't mean that the fan base isn't good because arguably the people who go are still good fans. Do you know?
Why are you making such an effort to not annoy the Huddersfield fans when you've annoyed basically everyone else, and there's probably only three of them watching this video?
I'm not. I'm just saying, I think that's just a general argument anyway. I don't think there's much stuff as bad fans. So I don't think
the fans they've got are good, but we can't give them anything like elite because there just isn't.
Oh no. Them. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just not saying I'm not going to put them in Tin Pot Club because of that. Because I think they have got that sort of a bit of a traditional history there, and performance-wise is inconsistent. I personally would want to put them in inconsistent club. But
I personally want to put them in Meh Club. I think this is my justification.
Go on, and you convince me then. Convince me.
The fans, there's not enough of them to be any higher than inconsistent, however good they are. Because if we look at Huddersfield's record crowds, for example, the likelihood is there's going to be a third of them that are decent season ticket members who, probably in terms of general rugby league fans, that third would be up near the top.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2/3 either tagged oners that have probably got it free with the Huddersfield town ticket or just getting on bandwagon that they might actually win something. Second it gets tough, they'll sod off and won't be seen for years.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Facilities, do they really do that? They have, but I don't think that many of them ever seem to break in and go on to do much elsewhere.
I honestly, I'm going to say...
And they don't own the ground, which is a big problem.
Yeah, I'm going to say Huddersfield has got the potential as a club and the foundations there as a club and the city, or the town, I know it's a town, not a city, but it's the biggest town in England. It's the biggest town in England.
I've literally is it? I thought Warrington was.
Yeah. Oh, it's up there. They're both up there.
Right, Warrington and Huddersfield fans have a fight in comments. Which one of them is the biggest?
But they have the potential to be up there, but I think it's not the faults of it. I think it's one of them where it's like Huddersfield is too much of a football town to make them. And I'm going to put them in there.
Right, I'm going to say we're spending far too long on Huddersfield, but yeah. You've won one league Leaders' Shield. You've not got much of a history of them being the birthplace of rugby league. Sorry.
Toronto Wolfpack.
Oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to be contentious.
What are you reckoning? Elite
I'm
club?
not giving them any points for history. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't call spending more than everyone else in the league and winning a championship and championship won a history.
No, so I think they've got to be tin pot for that. As sour as that sounds, but they've got to be like...
As awful as it
you
sounds,
can't
they've got no history, so because they're not an old enough club to have any.
Youth-wise, I mean, they might have
I've
some...
not seen a
just
single... They've got one Canadian in the squad and they released him not long ago. Youth
they
is
had to get
very
him
much tin pot.
Yeah.
Stadium is
nice
decent.
Stadium, and the fan bases that they've brought in is good. Like, they have brought in some good fans to rugby league. They have grown that game a bit. I can see it working. And also
Yeah.
they've brought in, like, Sonny Bill and that names. So, I know it... I don't think he's right.
I don't want to put them in tin pot because there's promise there. But I don't know, based on our things that we're ranking on, if you can put them any higher.
I don't think I can put them at Huddersfield because Huddersfield have got the youth. The youth at Huddersfield trumps Toronto's. Like, that's what knocks them up.
The youth at Huddersfield
is good. They have some good young players who've come through.
I mean, what have we marked Huddersfield down on? The youth is worse than Huddersfield. I don't think Toronto own their own stadium either. It's definitely shared. I'm not sure.
But I like the feel of Toronto, and I think eventually they will be up more higher on this list. But I think at the moment, especially with all the salary cap and stuff, it's just a bit of a mess. I don't think we can. I think they just.
I think it's gotta be tin pot, and that is with the heaviest heart.
I wish tin pot wasn't called tin pot. If you know what I mean. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I wish it.
Oh, the bottom at league, they'll get over it. As harsh as that is.
Yeah.
I don't want to put them there, but I don't have much choice.
They're there. Right, Leeds Rhinos.
Elite club.
Your team. Elite club. I'm going to agree. I had them down as elite. I think
this isn't just me being biased. History, you cannot argue with that. We've won more Super League titles, I think, than anyone else off the top of my head. Wigan might run as close, but
There's obviously there's only there's not that many teams that have actually won Super League, is there? So
no, it's
and one of your top contenders at the top of that is Bradford, and we're not.
It
even
literally
on this,
is.
you know what I mean? So, and we haven't won one since mid 2000s, so that tells you a lot. And you've won a lot since then. So
they've been relatively successful against the Aussies in the World Club Challenge. You can't say Leeds' youth is anything other than elite.
Yeah, they've got a good youth.
You just can't. I'm sorry. Look at the golden generation, and also the likes of Jack Walker, Harry Newman, that are probably forming the 3/4 line for England in the future, potentially.
Yeah, and fans as well. I think biggest fan base. So
biggest, typically decent fans as well. There's a few idiots in there. I'm not even going to pretend that they're perfect, but
but it's got
considering we've topped the attendance charts whilst we've been in the bottom four. Yes, there's definitely a swing in terms of more turn up when you're winning, which is the same for every club. But to do that when you're one of the playing absolute dross, I think takes some dedication.
Yeah, well, I'll put them in elite. I've dragged up to elite anyway, so they're in elite. I don't think you want to speak about Leeds too much. I just think it speaks for himself in a way.
Yeah.
Next up, another big club, St Helens.
I mean, they have to lose out for Leeds on's performance, surely, because we all know what they say about St Helens, or the Leeds fans anyway.
Yeah, but history, as they are one of the teams who have won Super League.
They are an elite club. I'm not even going to pretend they're not.
Good fans, good big fan base, good stadium, good youth as well. There's not much you can knock them on. So I think they'll all be up there.
Definitely, elite club.
With sort of Warrington and Cast, the reason they're indecent is because there is stuff you can knock them on. Elite, I think, is almost like perfect clubs. And honestly, I don't know how many more are going to get in there off of this list. Because next up, we've got Salford, which is an interesting one.
I don't really know what to say about history. I think I've got to say there isn't any, other than last year's grand final, which, whilst it was a big achievement for them, when your biggest thing to shout about is losing the one major final you've been in.
Yeah.
It doesn't compete with others on this list.
The fact is, with Salford, you struggle to mark them up on anything.
The stadium's nice, I'll give them that.
Yeah, but they don't fill it. And I know
No,
what I said about fans, but I'm saying you can't have them as a decent.
well,
They have
they've
to
got
be
even less than Huddersfield.
They've
So
got being inconsistent fans, if anything. I would be. I would.
I'm sorry. I think I don't want to mark them down for what they don't have. And I'll be fair to them. They brought a great travelling support last year, but there just isn't enough of them to give them anything other than tin pot on fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, for fans.
Also the set of flared off, and I'm not going to start going Wolfpack, but for God's sake, when you think you've got, don't throw it into your own fans. That's just scummy.
Yeah,
That's just disgusting.
Are you saying tin pot then?
Fans tin pot.
I'm going to put them in there.
Performance,
I would personally put them
is
in
it
there.
very inconsistent?
I think
bordering on meh.
So I would say they're a low meh, lower than Huddersfield, but they're
low meh. Yeah,
yeah,
that's fair.
Because they've got a good team, they're drawing some decent players. So
yeah, I think tin pot is quite harsh for them, and they do look like they're trying to grow.
Hull Kingston Rovers.
Go on. We know how much you love the Hull KR fans love you, so I'm gonna let you do the honours.
I mean, thing is with Hull KR, because they've been relegated recently and got back up, but they've always last season they were low, and I can't see them being much higher this season. I mean, they've brought in some good they've got some good players in that team, like Sean Kenny, Dal, Kane, Lynette. They had obviously Maguire last season before, and it's one of them where it's like I just can't youth wise. They shared an academy with Hull FC, and it always feels like the better players in Hull end up going to Hull FC. Personally, is what I feel.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with that, unless you are a die-hard KR fan, in which case
we've got some good loyal KR fans who actually get in touch and contact us about who watch the podcast and everything. And I think with KR,
I think the fans are generally pretty.
The fans
good.
are quality. I know that one of the best rugby sort of experiences I've had probably was Summer Bash. I'm pretty sure. I want to say 2017, the one where they.
You say that, but you flat out refuse to go to Craven Park to watch the Hull derby, so you can't love them that much.
But I remember when we played them then, and both sets of fans, obviously, two biggest attendance. It was just really good atmosphere, and they're good. They're an alright set of fans. I wouldn't really call them scummy, so I think I'm happy to put them in an inconsistent club personally. I don't know where you're thinking.
Yeah.
You want to push them down to meh maybe, but I mean I'm thinking.
I don't want to, but I think based on the other clubs we've put in meh, I don't know if we have to. Because the fans are good. I'm willing to say the fans are decent here, actually.
I would say fans are decent. Performance is inconsistent, and then they have their own ground and stuff, and certain other stuff might be up and there, but I think overall it's got to be inconsistent, really. And you believe that I have gripes with OKR when I don't, but
are OKR the worst club than Huddersfield? That's the question. Because I would say they are
a worse club.
I think Huddersfield are the better side overall, because at least I don't want to judge it all on history, but performance currently, Huddersfield considerably ahead of Hull KR. Yeah. Let's talk about recent history. Hull KR 2013 league leaders. This decade, some brilliant playoff rugby knockout matches. Hull KR, well, they got to Wembley once and they beat Warrington in a semi. We don't talk about what happens in the final, but they made it.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're a Hull FC fan, in which case you love talking about what happens to them in the final. But
where do you want to put them then? Are you saying?
I think it's got to be meh, unfortunately, which is a shame because the fans really do try and drag them up a lot. But
next one, Wakefield.
I think Toronto might have found a friend.
That's a big claim.
Let me go through this right back, because I feel like I'm going to have to back this up. I'm going to start with the obvious. This is the worst ground in Super League.
Yes, definitely. Agreed.
They don't even have hot water.
We found that out firsthand.
We found that out firsthand. let's go in, that segues me nicely into performance. They nearly lost a cup tie to a mid-table championship team, and they had Brough and Fafita back, especially
They had
just
the main
because
team out.
they've put a full-strength team out, and they still nearly lost it.
And arguably should have lost it. They got very lucky, in my opinion, but obviously I might be biased towards that. But you were there, and as a neutral fan...
As a neutral, I'd kind of think... I don't know, I think they were slightly better, but equally... they did not play well at all.
Inconsistent performance-wise, I think you've got to give them that.
I think net performance-wise, they had, I think, the best year in terms of what they've done. Again, I'll do it over the decade when I talk about history mostly. They had one year I think they snuck into 8th place. I think it might have been 2012 or 13. And then
I'm not sure.
Last year was about the best they looked, and they just fell off a cliff and nearly got relegated. I don't see how you can rank them anything other than Met on performance, considering. Was it the year of the first £1 million game they took 4 points all season? I think there's only 2 teams that have done worse than that. Workington in 96, or the 1 year they were up, and London in whatever year they got relegated and only beat us.
Yeah,
14. It was our Challenge Cup hangover, I think.
Yeah. So where you put? What do you reckon? Because I think the fans are decent. I don't think the Tin Pot personally. I think the
fans are decent.
Well.
The facilities is absolutely bottom of the league, below Tin Pot. Doesn't even belong in League One. And I think performances and history, unfortunately, are meh. I don't know. I want to put them in the bottom tier pretty much entirely based on that ground and the fact that they've not achieved much in the recent times. But
I'll back that. As long
I'm willing to be. It's very much on the border, but for the sake of not annoying the Toronto fans, I'd rather not just leave them on their own any longer and give them somebody.
I've backed it. Because I think you can't. You also got to say the fans are still decent and like
the fans are good. I've got no qualms with the fans. But
next up is Wigan, elite for me.
Elite club.
Putting it out there. I'm gonna.
This is going to be very contentious, and I'm sorry to my own club for this. Wigan have the best youth academy in the Super League.
Yeah, probably.
Certainly for wingers, anyway. I don't know where they keep finding them all from.
They're just picking them off, aren't they?
It's like it's not even like they can only produce wingers either. But for some reason, that seems to be what they're best at. But I don't know. Either that or they all just get injured, so we see the others.
Yeah, but they all performed, don't they? And I think you've got to look at history as in like again up there with Saints and Leeds in terms of winning Super Leagues and all that jazz and winning stuff and they're one of them teams that's always there or thereabouts up at top. Fan base is good. They don't own their own ground, which is it's one of them. I think they're an elite club.
Yeah, I think for that you potentially knock their facilities down to a decent, but the fans are elite. The academy's elite, the performances are elite. There's far too much there to even try and argue that they don't get into that category.
Yeah. Last one, which I think I know where I'd put this one, it's Hull FC.
I think I know where I'd put it as well.
Where are you saying?
Decent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'll drag it up there now and we'll talk about it. Definitely.
They might not own the ground, but it is a great stadium. I love the K-Com.
Yeah, good stadium. Also, good team. They're a bit inconsistent, but I think I would say
performance. I'd say inconsistent.
But I think I think you can push them up to a decent because I think they're inconsistently not ever gonna be. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like they always have decent players and they produce good players as well. Like they've got good players.
I feel like there's 3 games that saved them: the 2 Challenge Cup finals because it gives them a bit of recent history, and also the year they got all the way to semis in 2017. When it was because we knocked them out without a south stand, and it was the most weird game of rugby I've ever watched. Just because we were missing a stand, but that was the year I think Hull showed that they could do it over a full season.
Yeah, and I definitely think that you can't have them. I think you've got to have them up there with Warrington and Cass, even if they're the lowest of them 3. I think they've got to be in that tier.
you said yourself, typically the best City of Hull players tend to line up for FC. And I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
that's not just a testament to the picking the right players out, but also, perhaps they have better coaching in the senior setup at Hull FC that allows
Yeah,
them to
definitely.
flourish more. Or just pure and simply, they get that many blooming injuries, they just get the game time.
Yeah, but I think people might argue that, but I think I'm happy with decent for them, and I think that is it. So we've got in elite, we've got Leeds,
You don't
Saints,
want to
and
praise the
Wigan.
fan base?
Oh yeah, so sorry, Hull FC fans. Good fan
Come
base
on,
as
we
well.
bigged up Hull KR. The least we can do is give them the same back, or you're going to get lynch mobbed again by the other side of Hull.
Nah, I think Hull FC got a great fan base, and I think there's not much else to say about it. It's good, big fan base, loyal. You know what I mean? I think these top 6 teams have got good fan
Questionably
bases,
not
definitely.
loyal to Lee Radford, but
That's just a different thing in it.
but then
I don't
actually,
think
I
we can
say
mention.
this, I think I saw a hell of a lot of compassion after the whole him getting sacked on Sky thing. The
Yeah,
amount of genuine Hull fans I saw with comments along the lines of, as much as I wanted him to be sacked, I did not want him to be sacked like that. He deserved more respect than that.
yeah. For how long he'd been there and that,
And
definitely.
also for what he'd done as a player.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that says actually, they're not quite as fickle of a bunch as people try to make out they are.
Yeah. Right, so I'll go through them all. So elite club, Leeds, Saints, and Wigan. Sorry, decent club, Warrington, Castleford, Hull FC. Inconsistent clubs, Catalan. Meh club is Huddersfield, Salford, and Hull KR. Tin Pot club, Toronto and Wakefield. And that is ranking every Super League team. If you like it, we'll do all Championship, we'll do all League One, we'll do NRL if you want, we'll do international clubs, we'll do whatever you'd like. Just let us know below
International
if you liked it.
clubs. What are the
International.
international clubs, Callum?
Oh, don't start, right? So make sure you're subscribing as well as a lot of people watching that subscribing. It helps us out. It helps us, sort of grow and everything like that. Thanks for showing a lot of
1K
support on
giveaway.
Thanks for showing all the support on our recent videos during quarantine. We know it's hard and the quality might not be as good as usually when we're in studio, but it's better than nothing. So thanks for just
And you
showing
don't have to
support.
look at our faces, so you should be enjoying it that little bit more.
Yeah, true. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you
Until
later.
next time, stay home, stay safe, and goodbye.